In the field, don't let downtime hinder your harvest. Advanced Diesel Repair is your trusted partner in getting you back in action fast. Their technicians specialize in swift diagnostics and top-notch repairs, ensuring your diesel equipment is up and running in no time. With Advanced Diesel Repair, you can count on reliable service and minimal disruptions to your farming operation. Advanced Diesel Repair, conveniently located off the I-94 Wild Rice exit and online at adrofhorace.com.
Weather and Ag in Focus on WDAY Radio.
And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us. It's 1:05 on this finally Friday afternoon and 29 degrees outside the FM Metro with partly cloudy skies. We'll have a full rundown on that forecast coming up in just a moment, but I'm back. Bridgette, how have you been? It's been a couple days without you or Dean, but how were things while I was away?
We seem to be holding our own. How are you feeling? You sound just a little still rough over there, but not bad, not bad.
Still a little down, but much better than what it was the past couple of days. So we're starting to feel better here.
Good. And by we, this sounds like it hasn't been just an isolated incident. Probably the whole house went down is what you're telling me.
Well, little kiddo has still got a bit of a runny nose from what he had just gotten over, so he's basically good, but the wife's got a sore throat as well, so we've all kind of had a little bit of something, but me a bit more than the other two.
Well, you know what? They have better immune systems than you do, Justin. I'm sorry that you weren't able to hold on better than that.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is, but everyone's starting to perk up a bit more, so that's always a plus. And the weather's pretty nice out there as well, although a little chilly maybe for some compared to past days, but a lot of nice weather in the forecast to get outside and enjoy as we head into the weekend and into the beginning of next week, Bridgette.
It really is. And by the way, there's sunshine. The morning didn't start out like that, but we are now. So I'm very happy to see some sunshine in the neighborhood. So thank you for bringing it on. That's going to last for a while, right?
It's going to last all throughout the weekend. We'll be in sunny skies for the rest of today. A few clouds from time to time, but not too bad. 29 right now, a west wind at 6 miles an hour. We'll get high temperatures close to 37 today, so we'll warm up very quickly now that the sun is out, with wind out of the northwest around 5 to 15. Tonight, we'll get a little chilly down to the upper teens, a little patchy fog under clear skies and light wind. And for your Saturday, we start our upward climb in temperatures. 42, sunny skies, light wind will switch out to the west, and we'll top into low to mid 50s on Sunday. We'll be a little breezier, though, on Sunday. South winds 10 to 20, but all in all, not too bad. And we'll round out right around 60 degrees to start out next week, and upper 50s on Tuesday, Bridgette. So it's pretty nice temperatures. The record high on Monday is 63, set back in 2016. So I think we'll fall a little short of that, but regardless, it's at least near record heat for a couple of days as we round out the weekend and start out next week.
Record heat? That wasn't necessarily something I thought you'd be talking about here in the middle of March. Surprising, isn't it?
No, it's very nice, and something we'll get used to. It looks like it will cool down a little bit towards the end of next week. We're going to be keeping an eye on another storm system that mainly looks to pass to our south right now. But this could potentially...
Hold on.
Yeah,
Did
great.
you say
You're traveling,
next
aren't
week?
you? Yeah, when are you traveling?
Week, Friday. Where's this storm going to go?
Right now, it looks like a mainly Thursday event into Friday morning, but this is... say maybe South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, with a little bit of snow and possibility for some severe weather, so or severe thunderstorms at least. So I'm guessing that's exactly where you're traveling.
The chances are very high. Thanks ever so much, by the way.
I don't understand how this just perfectly lines up with your traveling schedule every single time. I think you've escaped like one or maybe two. But I think you'll be heading in once it's exiting the area.
Oh, well, that's good to know. Thanks.
Yeah. So that'll be traveling mainly to our south. It's something we'll keep an eye on. It brings a slight chance for a few isolated showers Wednesday afternoon, a couple of scattered showers on Thursday. Long ways out, a lot of time for things to change. Too hard to really know exactly the exact path of the storm system. But as a whole, it looks like it is definitely trending south of our area. So we'll just see if that lifts a little further north at all over the next few days and into the beginning of next week. But outside of that, doesn't look too bad. Temperatures will drop down into the 40s and maybe a couple upper 30s for the following weekend with breezier conditions. But all in all, Bridgette, not too bad. We're not stuck in the teens or 20s or man, I think
No,
what's the record low? The record low is 20 below zero, so we're not that cold.
in fact, I saw the sunshine and realized that maybe later today would be a great afternoon to get out and get a little bit of a walk because I think right now our wind is down as well. So I have an opportunity to get out and enjoy it while I can. That's my plan
Yeah, a little bit
anyway.
of sunshine, light wind, 29 right now, but we should all be warming up into the 30s today, so maybe a little chilly, but all in all, not too bad.
Excellent. I think I can make that happen. So I appreciate
There.
the offer of taking advantage of it. In fact, if you're offering, I might just leave now. You're good with that? You got the rest of the show?
I think I might be able to cover the rest of the show here. I think I got JT behind the board today, so me and him could rattle off some fun things for another 40 minutes or so.
Well, one of those fun things that maybe you guys all might want to talk about is the fact that John Deere and Successful Farming are doing a contest. It's not just us here at WDAY that do contests to make sure you win fabulous prizes. So this is called the Shop Hacks Contest. And for those who send in their ideas to Successful Farming by May 31st, you have the opportunity to win a $10,000 shopping spree at John Deere on tools and bulk oils. So that's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, let's face it, we could all use a few more tools in our lives, and I would have no problem shopping the front store at a John Deere dealer if given the chance. Some of these shop hack ideas that people were talking about doing is taking like a hog panel. So think of like a fencing panel with the stiff wire, hang it on the wall, offset from the wall so it's not flush, maybe using like a 2x4 or a 1x1 behind it. And then it's a place to hang your chains, your bungee cords, your tarp straps, all of those things that may or may not be currently laying in a pile on your garage floor. Possible, right? That they could be.
Yeah, I
So
may or may not have
little
a few
things
of those
like
on the
that.
floor.
I am a collector of buckets. I love having enough buckets for gardening. If we are making sausage or anything like that, that I need to keep those things handy and share them when I can if the neighbors need them. Well, sometimes those get in the way, and you could do the same thing with that hog panel. Just clip one of the wires towards the top, pull it out because it'll be a nice and stiff peg, and you can hang buckets or other large items from those as well. So it's a way to get things up off the ground, organized a little bit better. But I bet you all have way better ideas. Farmers are truly the mother of invention. And send those shop hacks in to Successful Farming and John Deere. See if you can win your $10,000 in tools and bulk oils.
It's a tool that I could really use that I don't have, but I also don't want to go buy just because of how expensive they are. And it's not even that expensive, but it's a post digger.
Battery operated grease gun. Oh,
Oh,
not the
okay.
battery
Well,
operated grease
that,
gun.
that's pretty sweet. I think I'd put the money out for one of those, but no, it's a post digger, just a stupid little pole shovel. But they want like $45 for one of those things.
Are you talking the one that looks like two serving spoons and you operate it with two big handles just to by hand dig out your own post? Well, isn't your birthday in April? Should I take up a collection to see if I can't get you something like that?
You might be able to. I gotta put some posts around my garden this year, and I don't have one. And it's one of the very few things that my father-in-law and my brother-in-law don't have is it's a post digger. So I'm gonna be
I am
searching. Maybe on
stunned.
Firm Day I'll go out.
Oh, but then you're going to find the one that's all splintery with broken handles. I don't think that's really a good choice for you. I am just saying.
Yeah, I only need it for like
Okay.
12 holes.
Okay, so now speaking of choices, here's an idea that I thought was pretty great. Speed dating for farms to
Mm,
schools.
really? I didn't
Okay,
know
I
that
want
they
you
were
to
in the dating season.
Well, I want you to imagine this. So you are a school or a daycare provider, but you're looking to bring more items in directly off farm from those who can provide it. Who are those people? How do you find it? University of Minnesota's Extension, as well as several other agencies, have paired up these farm to school road shows. So you have an opportunity to sit across the desk as that farm producer with those people who could potentially be customers and talk about the very important things. You'll be asked, what products do you grow? Can you deliver? Farmers may be asking, who's doing the ordering? What's your kitchen facility look like, so that they can make best decisions as to what products could fill the niche for that school or, again, daycare provider. I think it's a great way to learn. When folks sit down, there's usually a little card in front of them that gives an explanation of what kind of farm you are. Are you vegetables? Are you providing milk? What are the other things that you may have that are available? Maybe the circumference on a map of the geography that you cover, so that they know how far or near you might be in order to get fresh product. So I thought that was a great way to describe it. It's like speed dating between farmers and their customers who want their produce.
That'd be an interesting little thing to sit down and observe. A little speed dating between farms and schools.
Absolutely. Sometimes I feel like our guests are here for speed dating because we ask so many things.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that sometimes, especially when we double book a show and we get 2 guests for the price of 1 on one day.
It takes a lot to cover everybody's ground, and we should be in pretty good shape today with our guests. We just have one, and we are going to be joined by Dr. Laura Molgaard. She is the Dean of University of Minnesota College of Veterinary Sciences. So this was a very distinct reason for having Dr. Molgaard join us, and that is the fact that there is a critical shortage of large animal veterinarians. Not just folks like our friend Dr. Emily Fox, who works strategically with cattle, with horses, and she also helps doctor with sheep and goats, etc. But I think the need is bigger than that, and in places that we didn't all expect. So I'm looking forward to listening to what she has to share as to where those vets are needed and how we can get more young people involved in that industry. So I hope you have your questions, Justin. I know I do.
Indeed, I do. And we'll be getting all those questions answered in just a few moments. And if you have any, feel free to reach out to us on the Red Wing Shoes shoe line. That's 701-293-9000. Studio inboxes, which are weather or ag at flagfamily.com, and as well as those live comment boxes available on Facebook and YouTube Live. So we'll get all of that accomplished and so much more when we come back. So stay tuned.
More spread trade in hogs, cattle under pressure on Friday. This is the American Ag Network. I'm Jesse Allen with this market update. Well, as we take a look at the cattle and hog markets, looking to wrap up the week, pressure in cattle futures, waiting on southern cash cattle activity to really develop. Still seeing bids 182 to 184 live in Kansas and Texas, but not much movement there yet. Northern business looks to be done for the week. We look at the WDAY report on Friday, was supportive on both the beef and hog side of the equation, as cattle and beef market production increased by 140 million pounds on the WDAY report. On the hog side, production increased by 30 million pounds as well. So a supportive report there, but it appears we're maybe taking a little bit of profit in this cattle trade with more spread action evident in hogs again here to round out the week. Box beef prices higher, midday choice up 35 cents, 306.96 per hundredweight. Select up 63 cents, 296.89 per hundredweight. Pork cutout values were down 341 at midday, a weighted average of 73.88. Overall, just kind of looking like we're going to go quiet into the weekend here in this cattle market with some of this pressure in futures as we await some of that cash cattle activity in the south, and hogs, kind of just the same theme we've seen all week with spread action against that front month April. Hog prices and trends steady in Dorchester, Wisconsin and Garnerville, Iowa. Barrows and Gilts 55 in both locations. This is the American Ag Network.
Every day, our brave military men and women, along with their families, make tremendous sacrifices for our freedom. Patriotic Hearts, a nonprofit organization, is dedicated to supporting these heroes and their families in their times of need. By donating your unwanted car to Patriotic Hearts, you'll be supporting job transition and job fair programs, veteran entrepreneurship, counseling, and retreats for combat veterans and their spouses. Call 800-560-3870. You'll receive a tax deduction, and we'll arrange a free pickup at your convenience. Imagine the difference you can make in the lives of those who have given so much for our country. Your car donation will directly impact military families, veterans, providing them with the support they desperately need. Call 800-560-3870. You can become a part of something bigger. Join us in our mission to uplift and honor our military community. Call 800-560-3870 to donate your unwanted card.
Lean hog index is up 17, 81.48. Feeder cattle index up 117, 248.07. On the futures trade ahead of the close, April hogs down 2, 84.50. May hogs up 45, 91.67. March feeder cattle down 172, 249.30. April down 207, 254.22. April live cattle down 137, 187.35. And June down 137, 183.22. This is the American Ag Network. I'm Jesse Allen reporting.
Weather and Ag in Focus on WDAY Radio.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us today, spending your afternoon with us right here on WDAY, Weather and Ag in Focus. Don't forget, if you haven't had a chance to do it, maybe this weekend you're thinking about what are the changes I want to make in my life. I'd like to make sure you go to mortonbuildings.com/careers. Check them out. There might be a spot for you on their very awesome team that's continuing to show upward mobility for people who join, who get on the job training. There's opportunities to earn quarterly bonuses and so much more, including trips to Jamaica. Whoever thought your employer wanted to make sure you got a nice vacation? So be sure to check them out. Again, mortonbuildings.com/careers. And I'm very excited to announce our guest today. That is Dr. Laura Molgaard. She is with the University of Minnesota Veterinary Sciences Department. So many questions we're going to have for you, Dr. Molgaard. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And so I got a chance to see a message coming across about the critical shortage in large animal vets. And I often think about it specifically to large animal vets versus dogs and cats, etc. Where would you like to start? What's the background on the situation that we're facing right now?
Yeah, well, a lot of it is, it's related actually, because any kind of shortage in one part of the profession can lead to a shortage in another part of the profession. And we know that certainly rural communities own all sorts of animals, dogs, cats, production animals, etc. But it really was a growth in pet ownership over many decades that has contributed to this shortage, according to the economists. And I have to give the caveat that I'm not an economist, I'm a veterinarian. But beginning in the 1980s, we were able to trace pet ownership really increasing, the number of households owning pets and the number of pets per household, as well as the increase in demand for veterinary services for each of those pets. And so that's really, supply and demand. We've had an increased demand for veterinary services, and then we did not see the supply of veterinarians go up at the same time. We've had a very, very stable number of veterinary schools until very recently. We don't have that many veterinary schools in this country. And so it really was a matter of supply and demand. And then because of the shortage, graduates were, I think, kind of pulled towards some of the areas of shortage. And, there are some other factors as well. Salaries are different in different parts of the profession. And some of the demands as far as the hours and some of the other factors can play into it as well.
So some of those things that you just mentioned, I want to touch on. And when you said there's not a lot of vet schools, so yeah. I think that's probably a good place to start as well. Is it's not always so easy to find the place to get the education because students can't just go to every university for that, correct?
Right. There are a limited number of veterinary schools, and there are more coming on board now, that's for sure. And there are some that have increased their class size as well. So we expect that the number of veterinarians will increase in time. But in the current moment, that is the biggest driver of the shortage, is the increased demand over decades without an increase in supply. And you mentioned, young people earlier. That isn't the challenge. Our young people are very, very interested in this profession. In fact, at Minnesota, we have a record number of applicants this year. I just got that number today from our admissions office. We had 1,553 applicants at Minnesota for 105 seats. So the
Wow.
demand
Okay.
from young people, it's not a matter of getting young people interested in this profession. It's not that they're afraid of this profession or worried about this profession or anything like that. I mean, certainly individuals might have concerns, but we have a record number of applicants, and we're having to turn away qualified applicants because we have a limited number of seats.
Okay, Justin, you look like you have a question there, because if not, now I do.
Why don't you go ahead and get that one answered, Bridgette?
So when you say there's a record number of applicants, we've got young people who want into the profession. How long until those students are ready to start filling some of the gaps that we might have further up the food chain, you might say, as we start to get them into more jobs?
Yeah. Well, a veterinary program is 4 years after undergraduate. So it's for most students, that's a total of 8 years of school. So it's a big investment of time and money for somebody to go to school to become a doctor of veterinary medicine, and no small undertaking. And that's another part of this equation. Is this is not like a faucet that we can just turn up and down. It takes time to educate veterinarians, and it's going to take some time to address this shortage.
And what's the success of the students that come in? If you have 105 seats that open, how many of those 105 are finding their way through the 8 years of schooling to graduation?
Almost all. At the University of Minnesota, at least, we have. I just happened to come across that statistic today too for another project, and we have a 99% graduation rate. So the vast majority will go on to complete the program and go out into the profession. And then the profession is, of course, a very broad profession. There are some graduates that will go into food animal practice, equine practice, companion animal practice, meaning usually dogs and cats or other small critters. Some will go into public health. Some will go into, I don't know if I mentioned equine, mixed animal, research. There's so many different things that veterinarians do. And that's, I guess, another complicating factor. It's great. It's a really exciting, vibrant profession. But that is, I guess, another complicating factor. And veterinarians are not limited. When they graduate, they have, at least in the United States, the licensure that veterinarians have is what's called unlimited licensure. And so people can change within the profession after they graduate. They could start out in one part of the profession and then decide they want to shift into another part of the profession. And that's another part that is both wonderful about the flexibility and also maybe a little bit more challenging as far as tracking things over time, is that people will sometimes change careers and shift depending on whatever circumstances are going on in their life.
I see.
So when you say that about shifting to different parts of practice within vet sciences, does that also mean having to, I just got this message or this question from someone. Does that also mean changing in licensing? So if you're moving from place to place or state to state, do you have to change?
From state to state, yes. That does mean getting licensed in another state, which usually is not that difficult. I mean, it's an important piece of it, but it's not a big barrier. There's first having the passing the North American Veterinary Licensing Exam. That's the first step that everybody who practices in North America needs to do, and then there's state licensure from state to state. But and many veterinarians have licensure in multiple states. So, for example, somebody who's living near a border and going to be practicing across the border would have licensure in multiple states.
I see. With such the high demand or applicants for the veterinary programs over at the U of M, are there been conversations or any concerns about opening up more positions to fill? If you have 105 spots but 1,500 applicants, has there been talks about trying to make room or bring in more resources to have more students take the program?
Yeah, and so we've got a relatively new partnership with South Dakota State University. It's a 2+2 program, and they meaning South Dakota State and Brookings, admit 20 students that do the first 2 years there, and then they transfer to the University of Minnesota for the second 2 years. And so that's a partnership that has allowed us to expand in a really important way. And those students so far seem to be very much oriented towards rural practice, which was the intention of the partnership. So that's one small way that we've expanded. It's not as dramatic as some other schools have done with doubling class size. We're also looking at other strategies for maybe potential further expansion in St. Paul, not through further partnerships, but through just expanding our class size. But you're right, the resource limitations are the bottleneck. And so that will take some time and some planning.
Absolutely fair. Okay, so don't go anywhere. It is 1:30 in the afternoon. We have to hit our bottom of the hour updates. But when we come back, I know I have a list of more questions to ask about, especially not just when we think about large animal vets, but where are some of the other places these vets are going to work. And then I also want to talk about potential burnout, because I think our vets have some of the highest rates of that across any occupation within the ag industry. So that and more when we come back. Don't forget to dial us up on the Red Wing Shoe phone line, 701-293-9000.
For those physically demanding jobs, you need footwear that you can count on and a name that you can trust. Hi, Teresa here from the Fargo Red Wing Shoe Store. Stop in during our Ultimate Fit event where you can find incredible deals to keep your feet comfortable and safe. Stop in now through March 17th for the Ultimate Fit experience and receive $10 off orthotics. Plus, don't miss the buy two, get one promotion for socks and accessories. Red Wing Shoes, the ultimate choice for those who work hard. Visit us today and experience the difference at 3003 Main Avenue in Fargo. Red Wing Shoes for ultimate durability.
The home-style lunches at Krebs Family Farm Bakery and Coffee Shop are a hit. Every weekday beginning at 11:30, Mary Jane and the crew serve up delicious homemade lunches using family recipes. With a different lunch served each weekday, like ham and scalloped potatoes, cheesy potatoes and kielbasa, or Swedish meatballs, to name a few. And every Friday, you'll find mouth-watering chili and a featured soup. The daily lunch specials are found at KrebsFamilyFarm.com and on Facebook. Krebs Family Farm Bakery and Coffee Shop, 13th Avenue South in Fargo.
Good afternoon, I'm Tom Tucker, WDAY News First. North Dakota senators are reacting to President Joe Biden's State of the Union address last night.
It was a hard speech to sit through. We listened to an unhinged, angry, bitter old man screaming at everybody, pointing his finger at all of his naughty children instead of taking responsibility for the things that he's caused, the messes that he's caused.
Clearly, the Biden administration is on the wrong path. Any way you measure it, these are the wrong policies for America, and they need to change.
Senators Kevin Cramer and John Hoeven speaking after the nationally televised address. A decision is expected soon on whether wild horses at Theodore Roosevelt National Park will be removed. The proposed removal of the horses has sparked intense debate in recent years. Those who want to keep the horses in the park say they're a big draw for tourists. Those who want to remove the animals say overgrazing from the horses is causing damage to the local ecosystem. This winter has been a money saver for the Fargo Public Works Department. The milder than usual winter means less snow to remove, a savings in fuel costs, and fewer contractors needed to haul snow. The department normally pays about $300,000 a year to have snow hauled away. This year, they'll spend about $40,000. Tom Tucker, WDAY, and WDAYRadioNow.com.
Are you thinking spring? Then you need to be thinking Dave's West Fargo Tire and Service. Whether you are headed to the ballpark, hitting the links, or going on your next camping adventure, Dave's is your one-stop shop. From tires and tune-ups to maintenance and repair, our friendly and knowledgeable staff is here to help you with all of your vehicle needs to keep you on the road to your next destination. Give us a call at 277-8618 or stop by and see us at 1225 Main Avenue East in West Fargo. Your car will be glad you did.
This is a shout out to all hardworking farmers and ranchers. If you're looking for the cream of the crop in post-frame construction, look no further than Thor Buildings. Because let's face it, having the right size building for your equipment or livestock is crucial for your success. At Thor Buildings, they'll design your building for max efficiency, customized to tackle the seasonal weather in your neck of the woods. Post-frame construction tailored to your livestock and ag needs. Buildings built better, stronger, and built to last. So when it's time to put the hammer down, build with Thor. Visit thorbuildings.com today.
This is Weather and Ag in Focus with Bridgette Readel, Justin Storm, and Dean Wysocki.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for rejoining us. It is 1:34 on this Friday afternoon. We're returning to our conversation with Dr. Laura Molgaard from the University of Minnesota College of Veterinary Medicine, kind of in regards to the shortage of large animal vets. And Dr. Molgaard, I was wondering if you could elaborate or expand a little bit further on once students get their they graduate from the veterinary program, where they're being dispersed off to within these different fields of veterinarianism or veterinarians.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a great question, and it's not as easy to answer as you might think. We know a lot about what their interests are when they're in school because we have them as a captive audience and we survey them a lot. They will tell you this, that we survey them too much. Once they graduate, then we're more reliant on more national data because it's a little bit harder to get them to respond to our surveys. But what we can tell you is that typically, at least a third of our students, and sometimes more, 40% in the most recent class, are interested in going into practice in either large or mixed animal practice. So, and that's pretty unique. I think Minnesota is unique in that we have continued to really strongly invest in recruiting students with those interests and also recruiting and retaining faculty. We have a really strong large animal faculty. So we are continuing to really emphasize that part of our educational program. And so that's what we can say with relatively more certainty. Now, after they leave us and they go out into the profession again, we are more reliant on other data, and it's a little bit harder to say.
You know, early on, you mentioned that folks go into public health and other agencies. What do large animal, or what do veterinarians, period, do when it comes to public health? I think that's probably a question a lot of non-farm listeners might be curious about.
That's a great question, and a lot of things. So I would argue that all veterinarians have a public health role, and in fact, we take an oath to protect the public health. So all veterinarians, including small animal veterinarians, are helping protect the public health because of things like zoonotic diseases. And those are diseases that are shared between animals and people. Things like rabies, so many different examples that, it could be something as simple as ringworm. It could be something as complicated as West Nile virus. So there are lots of diseases that are shared between animals and people. And having veterinarians on the front line to detect and do surveillance is really important. So food animal veterinarians are definitely on the front lines of detection and surveillance. Food safety, is another way that we protect animal health. And so veterinarians work in food safety. Some veterinarians work for the government in actual public health positions, whether that be at the Board of Animal Health or at the Minnesota Department of Health or the North Dakota Department of Health, or the federal government. etc. So there are a lot of different ways, or doing research in public health. So there are a lot of different ways that veterinarians might play a role, food inspection, etc. The list is really long.
That's huge. And I don't think we always realize, like you said, that you take an oath to protect public health as first and foremost, as much as making sound decisions for the animals at hand. So I really appreciate that you shared that. I just don't know that we think about it on a regular basis often enough.
Yeah, something, I'm sorry to interrupt, but something as simple as parasite control. Not all parasites, but a fair number of parasites that affect animals can also infect people. And so when veterinarians are making recommendations for parasite control in animals, whether those be our pets or farm animals, That is protecting the animal health, but it's also protecting human health. Making recommendations on the farm to protect the health of animals, and not just the people who are living on the farm, but people who might be visiting the farm, and then the consumers of those eventual products. Those are all really important roles of the veterinarian. And when there aren't enough veterinarians, we see public health being put at risk.
What about when it comes to scholarships? Are there any larger scholarships available for these students to try and help get them in the door and help lower the cost when it comes to an 8-year program like this?
Yes, and that's such an important point. Medical education, whether we're talking veterinary medical education, becoming a physician, a dentist, whatever kind of medical education it is by nature going to be expensive, an expensive proposition. Mm-hmm. And so scholarships are a really important part of lowering that cost. And so we've really emphasized fundraising for scholarships, and we've really been successful in increasing our scholarship amount. Some of our most generous donors for scholarships have been those who are interested in food animal. And so some of the students that benefit sometimes the most are students who are interested in food animal, which, is exciting. We've got a program called VetFast, Food Animal Scholars Track, and those students receive some of the most generous scholarships. That helps recruit students into food animal and keep them interested in food animal, both from undergraduate and all the way through. And it's been extremely successful, kind of a model, I would say, for the country. Another financial program that's been really important is rural loan forgiveness programs. And so we do a lot of advocacy, both at the state level and at the federal level, for rural loan repayment programs that help offset some of those investments that students have made if they stay and practice in rural areas.
Okay, those things are huge.
It is.
Yeah.
And when it comes to those that are graduating through the program, what's the placement for graduates getting a job, whether or not it's their last semester in the program or just after graduation? What's that placement percentage look like from graduation?
It's phenomenal. Students have multiple offers. And in fact, it's very frustrating to employers right now that it's hard to recruit because there is such low unemployment. It's because of the workforce shortage. So there are many students who have job offers well before graduation. There are some who choose to wait for personal reasons. They just don't want to start right out. They want to kind of keep their options open, and that's okay too. But we have data, both our own data and AVMA data, that helps confirm that they have multiple offers.
I see. And then with that, with such a demand for graduates and those that are about to be graduates to fill these job openings, do you see a lot of different groups, practices, employers coming to the school offering internships to try and get these students a foot in the door first, and then see if maybe this is going to be a good person to work for our company? If they do well in this internship, I'd like to offer them a job as soon as they graduate. Do you see a lot of that?
Yeah, and there are a few ways that practices can do that, or other employers. One is through what we call our externship program, and that's during their senior year. All of our students can do a number of weeks out in the field for credit. And so we have a huge database of different practices. And if we have a practice that's not in the database, we'll put them in the database so that students can go and work and learn in that setting, and then they can kind of trial that for potential future employment, and the employer can kind of kick the tires. But again, with the current workforce shortage, that's maybe almost too late, because a lot of students are making decisions earlier, and so they might be doing summer employment, between the summers, between the semesters, where they're trying things out. So a lot of different opportunities for students to get out there and try different settings to see what's going to click for them.
Okay.
We also have.
I'll be honest.
Can I just mention one more thing? There's one more that I want to mention that I think is really innovative, and that's our Minnesota Veterinary Medical Association, MVMA's Path to Practice where they're hosting kind of a career fair that brings together employers and students to get to know each other. And they've kind of tweaked that over the years to customize it to be what employers and students say they want. So it's kind of shifted a little bit over the years so that it's reaching students earlier and earlier and give students a chance to get to know more and more practices.
So all of those things that you mentioned, the Vet Fast, Rural Loan Forgiveness, Path to Practice, and I'm going to send an email follow-up after this because all the links to those things that you have, I'd love to take those and put those on our website for people who are listening who maybe have an interest. So that'd be awesome. Appreciate that much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then the last thing I want to ask about has to do with burnout. Vets are some of the hardest working people that I know, especially when you have a large animal practice. We have a very frequent guest. She's a large animal vet in South Central North Dakota who has a 90-mile radius around her clinic. And I know in talking to many of them through social media, burnout can be high. Are there some things put into place while students are still in vet school to try to help them with that, or even after they graduate and they're in practice to try to keep them mentally safe?
Yes, absolutely. You're right. It's become a big focus over the last number of years. I believe probably 6 or 7 years ago, there were some studies that came out saying that we should be paying more attention to mental health in veterinarians and veterinary students and the veterinary team, vet technicians, which are really the equivalent of the veterinary nurses as well. And when we've taken that really seriously at Minnesota, we've hired a team, kind of a well-being team, a director of student well-being and success, a student counselor, and a veterinary medical social worker. And they all work together with helping our students learn healthy strategies, kind of from a prevention point of view, and also help address issues as issues come up. And then I know more and more practices are doing that as well, providing employees access to resources. And that's really important. And here's the really good news, though. The American Veterinary Medical Association has shared recently that this seems to be paying off, all of these strategies that are happening across the country. And some more recent data is really promising that shows that we might be turning the corner. And 74% of veterinarians are saying that their well-being and job satisfaction is actually pretty good. And they're worried about their colleagues. And so we need to do some follow-up studies to understand what that means. Because if each of us is saying, I'm okay, but I'm worried about you, we're not quite sure what that means. So, but it's good news. It's good news.
Those are huge steps. And Dr. Molgaard, I just want to say a giant thank you for joining us today to talk about what's going on in the world of veterinary science. And I would just simply ask, if people want to follow up with you, with the Vet School of U of M, how can they do that?
Absolutely. My email is cvmdean@umn.edu.
Sweet. And then I'm going to get those links from you all and make sure they're posted on our website for those who have an interest as well. I think that's an awesome reminder to those who have a chance at coming to school with you. That'd be great.
Thanks so much. It's been fun.
Yep. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. We are going to follow up with some more weather and some of our ag headlines. You know, there's some argument yet over the definition of what really is milk. Let's talk about that. Justin and I have our own opinions. We will be back right after this.
Picture this. You're basking in the sunshine, cozy at home in your basement, and suddenly, a thought. Am I safe down here? Hi, Lacey here to introduce Precision Concrete Cutters, the superheroes of egress windows. Installing an egress window will create an easy escape in emergencies and flood your basement with natural light and fresh air. At Precision Concrete Cutters, we turn dark and stuffy into safe and inviting. Transformation magic. Visit pccnd.com today, because when it comes to safety, trust Precision Concrete Cutters.
Olivet Lutheran Church in Fargo invites you to join us for worship Sunday mornings at 8:30 and 10:30 and Wednesday evenings at 6. Our theme for Lent this year is Gifted for Mission, where we will reflect on Jesus' Great Commission to to tell the story of Jesus' love for all people, without exception. Worship with us Sunday mornings at 8:30 and 10:30 and Wednesday evenings at 6. For more information and to watch all of our services online, go to olivet.org. Encounter Jesus, experience grace at Olivet Lutheran Church.
Attention farmers! Are unexpected breakdowns leaving you stranded in the field? Don't let downtime hinder your harvest. Advanced Diesel Repair is your trusted partner in getting you back in action fast. Their technicians specialize in swift diagnostics and top-notch repairs, ensuring your diesel equipment is up and running in no time. With Advanced Diesel Repair, you can count on reliable service and minimal disruptions to your farming operation. Advanced Diesel Repair, conveniently located off the I-94 Wild Rice exit and online at adrofhorace.com.
It's time for the Dakotas to be heard, to stand behind new markets for our ag and energy products. I'm Scott Helen for Friends of Ag and Energy, and you're invited to join this conversation. Go to agenergyfriends.com, agenergyfriends.com. Sign the petition. Stand up for solutions to take on a green, radical, woke agenda. Our ag and energy markets depend on it, and your bottom line does too. For all of North and South Dakota, get the facts. Go to agenergyfriends.com, agenergyfriends.com.
Paid for by Friends of Ag and Energy.
You're going to hear me talk about this new pizza in Fargo. It's called Red's Savoy Pizza. I'm going to talk about it a lot. I've had this pizza before it came to town and am super excited to have it in Fargo now. This is some of the best pizza I have ever tasted. They do not skimp on the toppings. And wait till you taste the sauce. Wow, is it good. One of my favorites, the house special. Savoy's original sausage, pepperoni, mushrooms, green peppers, onions, green olives. If you have not tried their pizza, you better. Open for takeout and delivery every day, 11 to 9. Red Savoy Pizza, 32nd Avenue South in Fargo. Visit savoypizza.com.
Attention service technicians. Northern Plains Equipment, a certified Case IH dealer in Garrison and Mandan, North Dakota, is looking for top-notch individuals to join their team and perform quality maintenance and repairs on all types of agricultural equipment. Northern Plains Equipment is a value-led, 100% employee-owned company, offering competitive wages, benefits, and job training. If you're ready to work in a great environment with great people, apply at plainsag.com. Northern Plains Equipment, Inc., proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Weather and Ag in Focus on WDAY Radio.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for rejoining us on this finally Friday. It is 1:52 on this afternoon, and a quick check on your currents. Well, we got temperatures rounding out around 30 degrees right now, and we'll have a full rundown on the forecast coming up in just a moment, but we still got a few ag topics we need to get to after that great guest that was Dr. Laura Molgaard from the University of Minnesota College of Veterinary Medicine. And one of those ag topics that we need to get to is the definition of milk, because they're still fighting over what should be labeled as milk and what shouldn't be labeled as milk. So maybe we should just get a definition of what truly is milk.
Okay, I would have never have thought, as this dairy farmer's daughter growing up, that I would have had to defend what defines real milk. In my heart of hearts, it's always going to be from a dairy animal, whether that be a cow. We also know that you can get goat milk, even camel milk. But there has been a battle raging over the plant-based beverages. And last year, the FDA came out and said, you can continue to use the moniker milk on things like, and there's such a long list of them, not just almond milk. There's cashew, coconut, flaxseed, hazelnut, hemp seed, macadamia nut, oat, pea, peanut, pecan, quinoa, and walnut. That's a lot. But the dairy producers, of course, are not happy with that moniker of using milk, because milk has a very different nutritional background than the other plant-based beverages. And that's the real sticking point here. We have so much better vitamins and nutrients that come from dairy milk than we get from a lot of these other items. The other ones tend to be fairly high in sugars and more of a carbohydrate than what you get when you're drinking regular milk. So this is kind of where the concern is. Are consumers being misled? Do they realize that they're not getting a real milk when they're buying something that's plant-based. Granted, almond milk's been around since about 1913. Part of that reason, lactose, you've had people who have, for various health reasons, have needed to rely on that, lactose intolerance, I should say. And so we do know that there's a reason for its existence. And this number may surprise you. For as big of a stink as it is, the actual fluid milk sales off of dairy animals is about 40 billion pounds a year. The milk that we drink, that number has been shrinking, but we're still using lots of fluid milk for cheese and yogurt. Meanwhile, 360 million pounds of the plant-based milks are really only 11% of the total market that's out there. So it's a much smaller piece than we might think of. Now, I'm going to give a little history lesson here. Back when margarine came out, and the folks that produced butter were very upset that margarine was somehow going to look like butter, and people were going to be concerned that they would make the mistake and buy margarine, not real butter. Margarine, also known as oleo, actually was a clear, almost a whitish product. And when you bought it, there was a little packet of dye under the lid that you could mix in, so your margarine then took on a yellow tint like butter would. Now we know that margarine, it's about one step away, as far as our chemistry lessons are concerned, from being a plastic. And a lot of people don't use margarine in the way that they once did. So just a few things to think about. Why everybody's up in arms.
Yeah, I could see that. Maybe they just need to change one letter. Instead of calling it almond milk, you call it almond milk.
Maybe that could do it. Right. Do something a little bit different, right? Just to make sure that people know.
Makes everybody happy that way. And do you by chance happen to know what some of those big nutritional differences are off the top of your head between, say, like almond milk and a regular milk? What's that big chemistry difference, or would we need to find an expert on that?
So it's not necessarily a chemistry difference, and experts are always great at this. The facts that I have in front of me show that dairy products offer more protein. They are also big sources of vitamin A, D, B12, riboflavin, phosphorus, magnesium, and many, many more. Whereas plant-based milks may offer these only if they are fortified with additional vitamins not naturally occurring. So that is something to think about as well.
All right, then. Well, why don't we do a quick rundown on the forecast? I'm sure everyone's wondering what the weekend's going to be looking like. They got plans, and I can let you know that your plans will be unaffected by any rain or snow chances in our area up here in North Dakota. We'll have lots of sunshine as we head throughout this weekend, and as we start off next week, we'll start to be flirting with record warmth once again as we round into spring. Right now, temperatures outside are near 30 degrees, and will top out near 37 this afternoon with a northwest wind around 5 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, possibility for a little bit of patchy fog within the valley. Otherwise, it will be mainly clear, and we'll see temperatures dropping down into the, for the most part, upper teens to near 20 degrees with a north-northwest wind around 5 to 15. On your Saturday, it will warm into the low 40s for a lot of us. Up in the far northern valley, where there's still a little snow cover, will be in the upper 30s, but it's going to be mostly sunny on Saturday. We'll have a light north wind switching out of the west throughout the afternoon around 5 to 10. And as we round out the weekend on Sunday, we're going to top out in the lower to mid 50s. Sunny skies, south winds 10 to 20 miles per hour, and another day right around 60 to start off next week. The record on Monday is 63, set back in 2016. Right now we're forecasting 6D with a south wind around 5 to 15. Upper 50s on Tuesday, and we'll slowly start to slide back down into the 40s through the middle of next week, where we'll keep an eye out for our next possible storm system to come into the area. Right now, it still looks like it will be targeting areas south of us, bringing a chance for some snow in portions of South Dakota and Nebraska, and the possibility for some severe thunderstorms in areas of Iowa. So something to keep an eye out for. If you're traveling south the middle of next week, keep up to date on the forecast. Doesn't look like a big implication to travel, but there is potential. So we'll keep an eye on it for you. And Bridgette, I think that's going to wrap everything up for today on Weather and Ag in Focus. Appreciate everyone who tuned in and listened.
One last comment. We used to know of Doc in Bismarck, and he always said he'd been a large animal vet before he became an OB to deliver babies. And we asked him how long it takes from going to be a vet to being an OB, and he said, that's a night course.
It's a night course. Well, Jay Thomas Show's coming up next, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Get $50 off your prom suit package. That's right, $50 off.